Welcome to the Playbook for Youth Sports, the podcast where we go beyond the field to explore the business side of the game. I'm your host, Jennifer Peacock. Today, we're talking about a major part of the industry that shapes the success of tournaments and events, sports tourism. Joining me is John David, CEO of Sports ETA. Sports ETA is the national association that brings together sports commissions, CVBs, event operators, and industry partners. They provide education, resources, data, and connections that help events run smoothly and help communities benefit from the economic impact that they create. In this episode, we'll break down what Sports ETA does, why it matters, and how understanding this network can change the way your organization plans and hosts events. Let's get into it. John, hello, my friend.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you today?
I am very excited that you are joining us today. You know, I love Sports ETA, so I've been looking forward to this conversation. And I kind of wanted to start with a little bit of personal story on how we met. So we were both backstage coming off of a panel discussion, and you were new in your role of CEO of Sports ETA. I was there discussing a new product event cancellation solution that we were launching. And afterwards, I came up to you and I was like, I love what you do. I love it. But now can I tell you all the ways that I think it needs to improve and what else you can do? And you kind of looked at me like, okay, yes, thank you. And since then, I feel like you're probably sick of all the email intros that I send you. But
No way.
for those that are not aware, can you tell everyone a little bit about what Sports ETA is and how it supports the sports tourism industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And Jennifer, it's such a great story. I mean, sports tourism is exactly what you described, and it's an opportunity to meet great people like yourself in this great industry, and share those best practices and learn and grow together. You all as a member, have been such a great asset to the association. And again, I think it defines who and what we are and what we aspire to be as an association. But the Sports Events and Tourism Association is that national trade association for that beautiful intersection of great sporting events that generate tourism. We were founded 34 years ago with 12 original sports commissions. And amazingly enough, today we have over 800 members. Many of those, Jennifer, have been great referrals and introductions that you've shared with us. In that membership category, we've got about 500 destination members. So those are your traditional sports commissions, your CVBs. Maybe it's a park and recreation department that does tourism or chamber of commerce. Another category of membership, which is our second category, are our rights holders, which we now have almost 250 rights holders that come to Sports ETA to understand how to better host sporting events and how to really better maximize the tourism opportunity that's generated. Then that third part of the categories, which is where you fall in, are our industry partners. And that's anyone in that industry that supports those efforts, whether it's a housing company, an insurance company, a hotel chain, and so forth. But in total, nationwide, over 800 organizations. And we lead off with our pillars of EARN: education, advocacy, resources, and networking. We do a tremendous amount of education within the industry to provide just great tactical support. And that could be, hey, how does an event rights holder, how do they maximize, housing for the events that they host? Or how does a destination really do the X, Y, or Z a little bit better? Do a ton of advocacy, where we're out there across various sectors. I just yesterday finished the Virginia Recreation and Park Society annual conference, where I presented on that power of sports tourism within parks and recreation. And then, of course, resources. We have a ton of data, which we've looked at, shared together. You've given me great ideas on what other data we're missing and what we could add to it. But really trying to give our members an understanding of that size and the scope of what this amazing industry is and what it can be. And then finally, it's networking. And that's one of the things you're the queen at, but it's that opportunity to network within that membership base to really, really connect the dots. So we've got an incredible mission, and it's to be the leading advocate and resource in the sports events and tourism industry. And our mission, I think, is awesome and profound. It's simply to enhance the quality of life, of Americans through sports events and tourism.
Well, and that matters. So I do want to just kind of scale back a tiny second. So when you say rights holders, for those that are not aware, would be like event operators, correct? I
Exactly.
think sometimes the terms.
Yeah, the terminology certainly gets a little bit confusing out there, but yeah, that's your traditional event operator. You can hear them called event planner. We call them rights holder because they hold the rights to those events, that they host. But anybody that's out there that's planning events, that owns tournaments, that works for a league, and so forth, those from our terminology perspective, those are what we call rights holders.
Okay, and so then to just kind of connect the dots for those that are just not aware, you've got your event operators that connects them with your CVBs or your sports commissions. And so the concept of a CVB or a sports commission is to actually bring events to their city because of the economic impact, right? Like it
Exactly.
is when people travel for a tournament and they book hotels and they eat at the restaurants and they get gas and they go shopping, all of that money supports the city. And so a CVB's job is to bring as many events to their destination as possible. Correct? Just making sure we're.
You nailed it. I mean, and it's funny because that's that kind of serendipitous moment that we had, right? That when we were meeting and talking, and I was sharing all the things that Sports ETA does and that connection and how much support that a destination member of Sports ETA can bring to an event owner. And I remember like you were like, oh my gosh, if I'd have known that this existed, when I was a club operator, this would have transformed my operations. And that's exactly what we do. And I had the same revelation. I had spent 25 years working with USA BMX. We owned and operated 80 events across the United States. And when I got into sports tourism and got into sports ETA and found out how many great destinations there were out there, that they had these entire staffs committed to not only attracting the event, but when I was in town to supporting the event, it changed the entire business of USA BMX. By the time I left there 3 years ago, it really became our entire growth strategy that we would not place a tournament unless we were working directly with that CVB or that sports commission and got that community support tied along with it, because it just meant so much and it made things so much easier and so much more successful. So our association, we are the catalyst of all of that. We're the ones that really make those connections, that help great event planners find great destinations, and then along the way, teach you how to do every little aspect of your business just a little bit better. Like, let's take merchandising. Anybody that owns events, does merchandising. Well, we've got great education, which really can teach you how to do it better. So something as simple as that, those are the little tactical things that the association does to help grow the industry, improve it, and just really be an excellent resource.
I think the education piece too, from professional development to tips and tricks and even industry insights, has just been so valuable. If you really dive into all the details that you have and resources, it's just a place, a resource that you can go and you can find all of this that really, I don't know where else it exists, to be honest.
Well, and we as an association, we're tactical. I mean, we're in the trenches with you. I mean, and I know, just like you did, Jennifer, I know what it's like to run these events and to struggle through those challenges, to work on getting the officials to the events, all those little nuances. And when we have a chance to meet a new event planner and talk about what and who we are and how we can really support them, I love it because 9 times out of 10, I'll have my coworker on the call. I'm texting her because she's in another state. I'm saying, I don't think they get it. I don't think they really realize that we're really here to help them at the level in which we do. And so I'll give you some examples. When you're brand new to sports tourism, it's intimidating to go and talk to these CVBs or these sports commissions. And your whole sports ETA say, hey, you really need an RFP. That's a key part, that request for proposal, because you want to make it a competitive programming, and so forth. Well, we help you every step of the way. I mean, we've onboarded brand new members that are running great events, but just don't know this space. Well, the best part is that's what we're here to do. I mean, literally, I give every single new rights holder that comes into our industry. Here's my cell phone. I have walked in your shoes. Call me. You're in the middle of a tournament. Something's going crazy. You need a second set of ears. You need to vent or cry. Call me. I mean, I've been in those shoes, and if I would have had an emergency line, what I wouldn't have given, and oftentimes if I can't find the answer, I know the people that I could call to lean on to find a great answer, level of support. But we're in the trenches helping those new members get in that mix, find those great destinations, understand, that process, and really be a supportive arm for them. So it's an awesome association that, again, like you, I wish I'd have known this from day one because my life would have been a lot easier.
How I kind of found out about it is I ran tournaments for Solar Soccer Club. We started them, and I ran them with Ray Hershowitz, who runs Dallas Cup. And he told me about the Dallas Sports Commission and sponsorship that they had gotten. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Hold on. What is this? I need to understand it. So through that, I was able to secure a sponsorship that pretty much covered all of our field cost, which anybody that runs a tournament knows that can
Right.
be a huge expense. And that was, man, 10 years ago. Now, with technology and the resources that are available, being able to actually track the economic impact
Yep.
that is made when your event is brought to a city, the incremental growth year over year, understanding the partnership and the resources that are available. The CVBs have resources for restaurants and activities and fun things to do that can actually enhance visiting their city. So, have you seen any like great technologies? Are you guys launching a technology to manage kind of that RFP or that process?
Yes. I mean, and the answer is yes. And basically within our current CRM system, for all of our members is we have that ability to upload their RFP. And one of the great things that we do is every single Friday, any new RFPs that have been uploaded, we automatically send that out to all 500 destination members, every single member in the entire network. And that's the great thing about the association too, is as a member, you've got access to the database. You log into your member profile. You mentioned Dallas. You need to find Monica Paul's contact information, or you're in another town. You want to explore Houston. You want to explore San Antonio. We have all that contact information there, and we can be that great connector for you. But to your point, in those local communities, these CVBs and sports commissions, they're the conduit of connectivity to everything. You know, you want to go in and enhance your event by greater partnerships with local restaurants, local shopping malls, things of that nature. They have those contacts. You want to work with them. A lot of our events will work hand in hand with the CVBs. The CVBs are incentivized to try to get your customer base to those type of retail outlets, those type of eateries. They have all kind of great programs that'll really help penetrate and get that opportunity for your customers and different resources and connections. Plus, one of the biggest things that we talk about all the time, there's somebody that's there for you when something problematic happens. And I'll give you a great example. I mean, we were hosting a massive tournament, one of the biggest annual tournaments we do Memorial Day weekend about 5 years ago. Massive thunderstorms come in, some microbursts, tornadoes, blew the power out everywhere. We're in a park. We're in a park, has no power, can't run the event, can't get the lights back on, everything else. Immediately we call our sports commission partner in the region where we're at. And it was unbelievable. Jennifer, they called the power company through city leadership, diverted power trucks to light up the park first. They're like, don't tell anybody we did this, but we got guys, we put you at the front of the line and your facility's getting power before like residents are, because they knew the impact they knew we had 5,000 people from out of town. And
Mhm.
we shared that. We shared that with the customer base. It was like, let me tell you how great this community is. They prioritized this event to make sure we got energized before some of these other places did so that we could continue hosting this event. That's why this is such a great community. So that type of connectivity, that type of resource, that's what's out there for event planners. It's just you've got to understand and learn that system of how to access it. That's what Sports ETA does every day.
I love it. Now, that would have been before event cancellation insurance was easily accessible.
Precisely.
Yes. I am like, honestly, your guys' biggest fan. It is just such a great tool that I want to shout from the rooftops on the resources that are available and how to use them. So, what would be your recommendation if you are an event operator that is considering not only the events you run in your local community, but expanding? What would your recommendation be?
Honestly, I mean, the first step is to contact us. Let us go through. Let's do a little onboarding call, with you, walk you step by step through what the opportunity is. And again, these are hour-long calls, but we really show you the roadmap. And we teach you that roadmap of what it is to take those events, how to shop them to those other destinations, what are the best practices behind it. And we love teaching that. We love teaching the dumb mistakes that I made over the years and the collective membership and how to do it better, how to do it more efficiently. And then we'll talk specifically about RFP process, what you need to know, what data points are critical to speak this language. And then we help you every step of the way. So, I mean, the first step is the easiest step. And that's simply to reach out. You can find our information on our website at sportseta.org, and in contact any of our team members, we'll immediately jump on a call, and start exploring what those opportunities are. And we'll certainly ask questions about the event, what the event history has been, what destinations you may want to explore. We have a ton of institutional knowledge as well, on various events or what destinations really excel at and things like that we love to share. I probably oversimplify it, but it's not hard. Once you understand some fundamentals that will guide you through, and will put you on that path to success, I promise anybody that's listening that it's a very simplified process. We are a membership organization. It's got an annual membership fee of $250 for our rights holders, our event planners. So a nominal fee there. But anyway, the call to do some onboarding to understand what's available, you don't have to be a member for that. We love to just share this with you and share what this opportunity is. And we also have a ton of stuff that's online. It's absolutely free. A great series of white papers. You did a phenomenal white paper on insurance, that
Yep.
really help teach, event planners, what they need to understand fundamentally, from an insurance perspective that really spells things out. So we love to showcase those resources, but it starts with a phone call. We'll set up a great Zoom call and we'll get them kicked off and put in the right direction.
I love it. What do you think is like the biggest misconception that you've heard from people that are not engaging in sports ETA?
I think the biggest misconception is that it's just hard to get going, that it's hard to make that first step. I think people look at it and when you say, hey, you've got to work with these city officials, oftentimes people are like, well, I'm just going to call the arena. I'm just going to go that route and I'm going to do it that. That's the biggest mistake. And that's what we see most often. It is easy because you're talking about the creation of an RFP, a request for proposal. You're talking about some extra steps and some communication. Of course, it's much easier just to call the arena in red. But to your point in terms of what happened for you in Dallas, when you got that support, you were able to get those free supplied, on a complimentary basis. When you really dive into this and understand how this system works and how supportive these destinations can be in your efforts, it will transform the business model. I'm telling you, and I love these conversations with new rights holders because when they get it, one of the things I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, my friend, in 5 years, we're going to have a call. And I'm telling you, you're going to look me in the eyes and you're going to tell me that the Sports ETA transformed your business. Because, and so it's just taking the step. It's not that hard. Anybody can do it. And we're here to guide you every step of the way.
I love that. That's great. Okay. So what is one initiative at Sports ETA that you're the most excited about?
So right now, the one that I'm over the moon about is international sports. And I'll tell you, Jennifer, the association had long just kind of ignored international events. And we looked at what's happening with the mega events that are coming. We call it the decade of awesomeness between FIFA World Cup, between the Winter Olympics in 2034, LA 28. Well, so many international federations are wanting to come to the US, but they don't have a mechanism how. And Sports ETA is changing that. We are completely turning that upside down. We hired an unbelievable advocate of the association, former board chair out of Houston, Texas, ran the Harris County Houston Sports Commission, and Janice Burke, phenomenal asset to the team. She's our chief of international strategy and sport. And we're kicking that off. We're actually taking about 16 destinations and we're going to Lausanne, Switzerland. And we're meeting with international federations in Switzerland. And when we started the outreach, it's one of those projects you start, you're like, I think this is a good idea, but is it a good idea? The response in Europe has been unbelievable. When we've told them that Las Vegas is coming, that we've got unbelievable destinations, all across the United States that are coming to them to meet them in person, and that they want their events to come to their community. The reaction has just been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we've got representatives from the state of Florida, the state of Maryland. We've got New Orleans that's coming. I mean, so some of the great international markets of the U.S. have committed to going with us on that. So part and parcel with that, we're developing education to not only educate those international federations, because we do business a bit differently here, but also to educate our members in how they can best host these international events. And in really the capstone of it is at Symposium, we will now have an international track where we'll be bringing 20 to 30 of these international federations into the United States We'll host them at symposium so that our destinations can have those opportunities to engage with them as well. So it's so fun in the 2 years that I've been here to be able to see these challenges and see these areas where we can grow. And quite frankly, just putting some process behind it, putting some initiative behind it, and making it happen and find great people to partner with. Again, no different than we did with you in creating a great white paper on insurance. We had a void, didn't exist. And now we've got a great resource for all the members. So right now, that's what I'm most excited about.
You know, one of my favorite things about you, you're very good at connecting the dots. Like you're just the way that your brain works of problem solving. And if this goes to here and this goes to there, like that's your gift. And I love that.
Wow, I appreciate it.
So, question. So, 5 years from now, Magic Genie Wish, you can have anything you want related to, we're going to say sports tourism. You can solve any problem it is in 5 years. What is it?
To me, I think the biggest thing that I'd love to see us solve is housing. You know,
Mm.
housing and sports tourism is a lot. It's challenging. It's challenging for the customer. Again, in that ecosystem we described, it's so critical that customers that come in for sporting events, that they stay in the block, they stay where they're being. Because again, you talked about earlier, you really alluded to it. One of the most critical aspects of hosting the sporting event to get that great support from the destination is you have to be able to be measured. They need to see those hotel room nights that get generated because that creates that incremental tax revenue that comes back to the community. That's challenging. And while technology is definitely getting better and better every day, and there's a lot of systems that are coming into play that's helping that, that's still a big challenge in our industry. So the education of housing, the understanding of housing, but really getting the customers to be willing to stay in those blocks that those great event owners provide.
I think that, brings up a good point that maybe really one area of focus could be around the consumer education of why you stay in a room block. I think sometimes the general public's misconception is, oh, they're just trying to, mark it up or make extra money or, whatever that misconception is. But really, truly, the reason why they need to is that's how you track it.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can't.
Right.
And so that is what actually allows the event operators to receive a sponsorship or
Right.
discounts on the venues or whatever it is that they negotiated, which ultimately keeps the entry price of the event down.
Precisely. No, you nailed it. And I think that's a great point too. I think Sports ETA coming up with assets that we could give to the rights holders that help with that narrative and that storytelling. Again, having something that's a great template that they could share with their membership, they could post on the website. I think that would be a fabulous concept of a resource that we should be providing to help with those initiatives. Because to your point, that's the key point. If whatever the consumer can do that helps those event owners be more trackable, that's only going to save them in the long run in terms of entry fees.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And to the point of technology, I think technology has come a long way to help, but it's coming up on the other side. If I can just go look and go to Expedia or this, that, or the other, or book outside of the block, and then it defeats the whole entire purpose. So I think you're right.
Especially too with short-term rentals.
Right.
With your Airbnbs and your VRBOs. I mean, those are creating an entirely different challenge. And man, I get it. As a team, when you can go in and run a VRBO and you've got multiple families and a whole team staying in one house, that's simple,
Uh-huh.
but that becomes very problematic for that local destination and for that event planner for that team to be tracked and to be measured to show that incremental, influence. And one of the things too that we tell the end consumer all the time, in addition to keeping those entry fees down, one of the best byproducts of all of this that we're seeing nationwide is improved facilities. You are seeing facilities pop up that are world class. They're happening because it's trackable.
Right.
So when a mom or dad, when they're going to one of those events and they stay in that host hotel, that's what's causing those great facilities that they're competing at, whether it's in their own community or whether it's, somewhere along the road. That's a big piece of it too. And they are the direct, recipient of that, goodwill and that good effort.
What's that saying? Build it and they will come. Build it and they will come, but then track it.
Exactly.
So that you can
Measure it.
measure it.
Yeah.
Yes. I love what you do. And also, you are so accessible and personable and kind. So I'm just so grateful for who you are and what you stand for and what you're doing to just help elevate sports for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for being you.
Well, that goes both ways, Jennifer. I mean, you have been, such an amazing asset. I mean, you do tough stuff. I mean, insurance, cancellation, these are technical, challenging concepts, and it's not easy. And you have such a great approach with it. And we're thankful to know you and to certainly have you, A, as a great member, and B, as a great friend.
Thank you so much. Yay. I love this conversation.
That's it for today's episode of the Playbook for Youth Sports. Thanks for joining us as we explore the business side of the game. If you found today's conversation helpful, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies to help you grow and strengthen your organization. Until next time, keep building, keep leading, and keep playing.